Brewing Network.
All right, everybody. Once again, welcome in Behind the Beer here. Special thanks to the Brewing Network with us here, putting these interviews up on YouTube. My name is Pepper Daniels, locally here with the Crush 92.5 radio station out of San Luis Obispo that serves all of the wine country up here in Paso Robles. We talk wine, we talk beer, we talk food, all the great lifestyle things that makes people want to move up here to the Central Coast. And we just started a beer show on the Crush 92.5 called Central Coast Craft Beer Radio. It's on Thursdays at 5, Sundays at 5. And one of my co-host partners in crime sitting next to me here is Tyler Clark from the Libertine Pub down in Morro Bay. And joining us on the stage here is Gordon Shuck. Everybody welcome Gordon from Funkwerks.
Thanks.
Well, let's start, Gordon, with just give us the backgrounds, the 101, where you're at, what you're doing out there in Fort Collins, and a little bit of the history of Funkwerks.
Sure. So Funkwerks kind of started in 2009. Me and my business partner went to brewing school together. I went back to Colorado to kind of try and find a job, maybe at another brewery, kind of get some experience under my belt. And once I kind of struck out, let's say, I started working on a business plan, but I really didn't know anything about writing a business plan. Called up Brad Lincoln, my business partner, and he was listening to my idea. And instead of kind of giving me advice on a business plan, next thing I know, we were starting to collaborate on this brewery. Within a week, he flew out, crunched some numbers, and we were kind of off and running. So 2009, we incorporated, started in Fort Collins. Basically, there's a really good craft beer scene there. We knew we wanted to focus on Saison. That was our style. And we wanted to have beer drinkers that were knowledgeable. They knew what craft beer was, but maybe could take that next leap and support a brewery that concentrates on one style. So we opened in 2010, and at this point, we're about 3.5 years old.
Awesome. And the Saison's what you brought here. We've got the Saison going around, so make sure you get a little hit of that as we talk about it here. Let's start breaking that one down. Tell us a little bit about this one. Obviously, quote unquote flagship beer.
Yeah, we started out. We knew we were going to focus on Saison, so we wanted to kind of shoot for something that's a really classic version of Saison. Very simple recipe. We messed around with some spices initially, various yeast strains, until we kind of found a good mix that we thought would be best representative of what we wanted to do. Went through 9 iterations. Number 6 was the one we thought was the best, and that's become the version that's before you guys. Grain bill, we have Pilsner, Munich for color, a little bit wheat, kind of lighten up the body. We used a hop called Opal. It's a German hop. Has a nice, noble character, but a little bit of citrusy character in that hop too. And we're trying to really play with the yeast strain that we use in this. Trying to pull out a lot of the phenols and esters from it, but I want them to be incorporated with the hop character too. So I want to kind of blend them together and create a flavor where you don't know if they're coming from the hops, the yeast, or what, and just is something that's really effervescent.
I had a question. You said you went to brewing school. Is that right? What school was that, and do you think that is, obviously it didn't seem to help you too much in getting a job necessarily, but there's a lot of guys that are looking to go to that next step, maybe home brewing, doing something, and a lot of it's, well, where's your experience? If you were to recommend somebody just wanted to get in the industry, do you think it's, hey, start shuffling kegs and cleaning barrels and scraping out fermenters? Do you think it's better? I mean, obviously you did your route and you have a unique experience with that, but what are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's both. What people are looking for is experience in a brewery. I got as much education as I could, but my Achilles heel was really I had no experience, and no one's really going to take a chance on 40-something-year-old guy changing careers and moving into craft beer. So you really need to have both. I'd say volunteer at a brewery, get some experience, get some knowledge, on the practical side, and then get brewing school knowledge. A lot of the stuff at brewing school really focuses on safety, knowing how things operate in a brewery. It's different from home brewing in a lot of ways. So I think having both really helps you out.
And then as far as obviously doing Saison, so that's not just your flagship, that's everything you make is some sort of base off the Saison?
Yeah, loosely. We kind of have fun at the brewery. We always want to kind of have new stuff in the tap room. And, we have a double, we have a quad. We've kind of branched out a little bit outside the Saison category, although our quad uses our Saison yeast right now. We just kind of make it fun for ourselves, and that's part of the reason I got into this. I love making new recipes and creating stuff, and just trying new stuff.
Is that a proprietary yeast strain you guys are using, or is that something from White Labs, or has it morphed as you guys have gone, repitching? I talked a little about that.
Well, our yeast strain initially was a Yeast French Saison 3711. We started getting it from another supplier in Colorado Springs that only worked with commercial breweries. Subtly different than the Yeast version. We then took it in-house, used it, propped it up, and then now we're banking our particular version of that. So that yeast has kind of changed over time. And I've actually talked to the brewer at Brasserie Thillier, I think, is in France, and that's originally where that yeast is purported to come from. He didn't think it was the same yeast. He doesn't get the attenuation, but I think that yeast has kind of morphed as it's moved from one place to another and kind of changed, which kind of makes it hard because every place you get it from is now going to be a little different.
Saisons traditionally are fermented at a lot warmer temperature. You're in Colorado, cold a lot of times there. It's hot a lot of times there. Are you doing primary in fermenters, and also have you, I've run into problems where I actually literally need to heat up my fermenter to get it to where it needs to be, and is that something you guys have had to do? Or
no. On a commercial scale, you really don't have to heat things up. The yeast will put off enough heat to really make the temperature climb. The good thing about 3711 and all its derivatives, you don't need hot temperatures. And so we go about 75. Actually, we'll knock out about 65, let it free rise about 36 hours, and it'll hit 75, and then we hold it there. Other strains, you definitely want to go hotter because that's what they respond to. But that strain, I think, produces really nice flavors in the mid-70s.
Awesome. Very cool. Once again, everybody, this is Gordon Chuck from Funkwerks out of Fort Collins joining us. That's a Saison that we've been talking about that's going around. I don't know if we poured it all out yet, but that's what the girls have out there. Talk real quick about a couple of the others that you have here today that people, while supplies last, can enjoy.
Okay. Actually, the really popular one today, it seems to be our Raspberry Provincial. It's a loosely Berliner Weiss style. We do a souring with lactobacillus, drops the pH, and then we add raspberries in the secondary to give it kind of a fruity edge to it. 4% alcohol, very easy drinking sour beer, almost like a sessionable sour. Then we got some special releases. Deceit, our Belgian Golden Strong, that's won medals at World Beer Cup and JBF. That is probably gone by now. At 3 o'clock, we're going to release our, I got to take a breath through this one, Peach Whiskey Barrel Aged Imperial Saison. And so we took our Tropic King, which is our Imperial Saison. Lauren Salazar at New Belgium called me up and said, we have these peach whiskey barrels. They're just to empty them from their sour program. You want them? I was like, sure, I have nothing to put in them, but we'll figure something out. We decided to throw that in and just see what happens. So there's a little bit of lacto, a little Brett character in that one. The peach whiskey actually comes through quite a bit, despite being a secondary use on those barrels. So that's a really good one. 3 o'clock, come on by.
I was in there recently about 3 weeks ago, and I saw in your fridge you guys do a cheese. Is there something to talk a little bit about that and how that came about?
Yeah, there's a really great agricultural community around us. and we trying to support them. We kind of do cheeses that are produced locally in our tap room, and one of them, I believe it's Crazy Cow, they came to us and wanted to do a beer-infused cheese. So we kind of worked with them, tried a bunch of different beers, and eventually decided Tropic King was the one that was best. It's a cheddar. It's got a nice, sharp flavor, and Tropic King really added a fruity element to that. So that's something we kind of offer out of our tap room.
Very cool. I want to invite anybody up if they have any questions. They want to feel free to grab the microphone right here at the picnic table right in front of the stage. If you guys want to pop over there and grab a question, you can certainly do that.
Nice.
Any takers? There's a taker.
Can you talk about the differences of attenuation with the 3711 variant that you've gotten from the other company? Ours we saw stop at about 0.7, and then in package would sometimes go down to 0.2 and increase the volumes in the product, and we actually had to switch strains.
Yeah. That strain, I talked to Peter Buchard about issues we were having similar to you, and he was like, you need to change strains. And being kind of stubborn as I am, we're trying to work with the way that one works. So we can do step mashes. We can alter things. Before I was trying to get more body into beer and stop it at a certain point. But after talking to Yeast, that yeast actually breaks down some longer chain sugars that other yeasts don't. So our solution was just make it as attenuative wort as possible, get as much fermentation as we can, and then drop as much yeast as we can. That's pretty much solved our attenuation problem in package. We still get a little bit, maybe half a degree Plato still happening in package, which helps, with the carbonation a little bit. But we're not getting that overcarbonation issue. So.
All right, last chance for a question here. If nobody, I've got one more. Come on up.
So, you're a pretty heavy Saison type brewery, and that being the new fad in brewing right now is kind of our session type beers. Saison already being a kind of session friendly beer. Do you see a style that interests you that you want to take the next step into that's kind of caught your attention as far as like something a little different?
So going into like a session Saison or something like that?
Well, I just mean like, everybody's coming out with a session right now, and, I'm all for that. I think sessions are great. I love them. But what do you see coming up next that's maybe something a little different that's caught your attention that you want to work into?
Gosh, I don't have a crystal ball. I think beer drinkers, they're just looking at all the styles, sours, hoppy beers, and just experimenting and trying everything out there. What the next trend is, I don't know. Honestly, we don't really follow the trends. We don't do a hoppy beer per se, at least it's not as hoppy as some of the ones I've had out here for sure. I don't know. Maybe some session sours. I think sours have gone really big, very sour for a while. And I think it's kind of, people are refining that a little bit. And I've seen a lot of really good light sour beers that are so drinkable. And maybe that's the next thing. I don't know.
All right, everybody. How about it? Give it up for Gordon Shuck from Funkwerks out of Fort Collins. And
thanks.
Make sure you hit that booth over there. They're going to release that beer at 3 o'clock here, so make sure you do that. Thanks for joining us, and cheers on that Saison. That's killer. We're going to keep the rest of this one up here.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. The Brewing Network.